Continue to do what we've been doing, trusting in ourselves, but trusting in each other. The sky's the limit for what's possible with us.
It's so interesting how much has happened in the most recent past that has helped you get.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Blair, but you know what time it is. Talking to you guys about Married at First Sight. We're going to deal with Karen and Miles. I wanted to talk a bit different. I have been on the neck of Karen all season, so I thought this time let me try and give you guys something a little bit more different where we can talk about solutions in terms of them going forward. Since they've decided to stay together, I think it'd be good to have a discussion around what things that they have to work on in order to move forward, and also what lessons we can learn as we're going to be moving forward in our relationships, single life, etc. So I wanted to read a tweet out before we start, but before we get there, guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for a notification of the what uploads. And for those of you returning as well, you got the minerals, guys. As you can see as well, if you're returnees, you got the minerals, yeah. As you guys can see as well, I'm phoning off my actual phone. So today, please do bear with us. I know it's a bit of annoying there. I'm on the road, so I'm just trying to do things a little bit differently. But yes, today, talking about obviously Married at First Sight, talking about Karen and Miles. It was last week that we had officially the reunion, and yesterday we did a live on Miles and Karen, and we spoke about how I spoke probably a bit more candidly about how I wasn't feeling them going forward. I want to put this across to everybody as well. This is my personal sentiment. I want you to understand that. The same way if it was a friend and Miles was my friend and he came to me and told me, listen, bro, this is a girl, I'll tell him, listen, this is my personal sentiment, right? But I'm going to support you in whatever you choose to do, all right? And so we are watching a show and we're able to critique and review what's going on. That's the blessing, I guess, of us as an audience. We get to see you day in, day out, unlike other people's marriages where we don't get to see them day in and day out. We may hear a snapshot of a conversation or an argument that they have, but we don't get to see the ins and out. What we have seen in Married at First Sight, I truly believe, is a bit more of an eye-opener in terms of what goes on and what lies beneath in terms of relationships really going on. So I want to read this tweet, and that will be the basis of a start of our conversation. I had a tweet, I had a comment from Cries Marie, right? I hope I said that right correctly. If I haven't said it right, sorry about that. She says, what would it have cost Karen to just be and allow Miles to be and address issues as they come rather than creating issues for them to solve? And I want to stop just there, okay? Because I think this is something what I noticed, and this is why I'm saying I'm going to address this to everybody, not just Karen. If you are in a relationship and you're intentionally creating storms in your relationship to test someone, this is manipulation. I know some people will be like, oh, no, it's manipulation. It is something that we should not be adorning and something that we should not be going through and wanting to happen. So if you're trying to push someone to be fed up, to see if they're dark, then that's a different story. Now, I agree with the psychology of this. It's biblical too. There's a story in the Bible where Jacob went to his father-in-law's house. Okay, I say father-in-law's or his mother-in-law's family to go and collect a wife, and he was tricked in the middle of the night after working 7 years for his wife. Yeah, and he ended up sleeping with the sister. Okay, there were two sisters, Rachel and Leah. And the Bible lets us know that Jacob, loved Rachel. This guy worked 7 years for one woman to the point it said that he didn't even feel it like it was work, right? He just loved this girl. Cool. If you've worked 7 years for one girl, please tell me, what have you been doing? You must have got to know this girl very, very well. So even if you get into the bed and the Bible says that she got that Laban, the father, the brother or the father, I can't remember, of Rachel and Leah, sent Leah into the room in the middle of the night. Now, imagine this. Middle of the night, is dark, no lights are on, okay? You don't know who's coming to the room. They get next to you. I'm sorry, it's been 7 years, okay? I would know just by feeling upon your booty. Okay, I'm gonna know who it is. If I feel upon your face, I'm gonna know who it is. You're gonna speak, I'm gonna know who it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know your body, I know your scent. We even carry specific scents. So I'm gonna know something about you is different, kids. You understand? And even then, I would ask question. Wait, I would like, hold on a minute, like. You know what I mean? Because there's something you would. My first thing is scent anyway, so that's my thing. So we saw with Jacob that when you don't know somebody very, very well and you don't know them to a depth and a core, you can be tricked because you're ignorant of parts of that person. You're ignorant to the person's devices. You're ignorant to that person's motives. You're ignorant to that person's way of living and their attitudes and values. So yes, you can be tricked by that person, right? And so, as she said here, obviously, you know, when Karen wants to know all about Miles in his worst moment, I hear that, right? But if you are intentionally creating that, that's manipulation. And so my first point here in any relationship, if you are in the midst of creating storms, you want to create problems in your relationship to test somebody, this must be checked. Whoever you are, including me, if I'm intentionally trying to test you to see what kind of wrath you're going to bring. I've seen some of the comments in my own video. I would like testing their men or testing women to see. Do you know what? I heard one pastor say, and I'm not going to mention his name. I heard one pastor say, I test all the women that come across me. I make sure I test a woman properly. Like, and okay, yes, there are going to be standards that you have, and you're going to see it and go, okay, do you know what? That's not for me. But you're now putting tests. Sorry, are we doing trials and doing Olympics or something? I'm testing for your team or something, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we are not in the business of testing people. Do you understand? You're testing to prove the person approved in your life. No. Listen, as we're going through the relationship, yes, we understand and we learn one another. You understand? But if you're intentionally creating problems, hey, because you want to see, come on, man. You know, come on. If you're intentionally pushing someone to their limit to see them get angry, this something for me just shows a level of naivety. So when Rise has put that, like, you know, creating issues for them to solve, I believe we saw some of those things for Karen. Like, I don't know. She was withholding affection to make him get to a point where she saw the darkness in him first. And it's like, I'm a big believer in making sure you see the signs. So here's my solution for that. As an individual person, because I want to do solutions today. As an individual person, if you are in the midst of creating storms to try and see that person for they are, I would say to you that you need to do more work on yourself, number one. And that means starting to be content with who you are and know what you need. You guys know this. I say this every single time to you guys. If you know what you need, when you come across the person, that doesn't have everything that you wanted, but has what you need, you can make sensible decisions. Number two, if you don't jump into sex very early, and I'm not going to say it jump before sex before marriage. You know why? Because I think you can still make a good decision if you were to have sex. I still think you can make a good decision. Now, the no sex before marriage is godly principle. You understand? God wants it a certain way. There's a reason why, because we make connections that can, you know, that's another time we can talk about that, right? But in general, the world can also have successful relationships, which means it's not sex before marriage that stops people from being successful. What it is your mindset. But when we jump into sex too early, into sexual things too early, we can be incapable at points of being able to spot certain traits, characteristics, behaviors that are not conducive for your relationship. Do you understand? It helps you to have a clear head and a clear mind when it comes to situations. Number three, if you're in the midst of trying to create storms in your relationship, you're testing your partner. you wanna do these kind of things. I would say to you again, really sit down with yourself and ask this question: why am I doing it? Where did this start from? Where did this need to be in to be so control, because it's a form of control, to be so controlling and manipulative to make it work my way. You have control issues. You have control issues, and I'm telling you this now because I know it myself. You know, a lot of times I say these things because I know it's out of my own heart and I know what I know, right? I remember something that my dad said to me when I was younger. and I got really bad A levels. I got like CDU or something like that, bro. It was bad, bro. It was bad. Or CCU, I think it was, or CC. Oh, I don't know. It wasn't that great, right? I knew it wasn't that great. And my mom was like, "Oh, it's okay." Da, da, da. I told my dad, and my dad was just slaughtering me, bruv. I started crying, innit? I'm a big boy now, 18. I started crying now. I'm like, bro, why can't my dad just be proud of me, blah, 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 da, 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 right? And that was true sentiment, right? But he said something like, you're crying. Don't try to manipulate me with crying, whatever, right? Yeah. And I genuinely wasn't trying to manipulate him with crying. I genuinely did feel sad about it. But it stuck with me, right? And so I started to analyze actual behaviors of my own later on in life. Not that point, but that's where it started for me. I said, okay, he's telling me it's manipulative. What does that mean, and where does that come from, and why am I doing that, right? And manipulation is a form of trying to control proceedings, events, and people. And they come because we want a determined outcome. We are unable to give up sovereignty that things won't go exactly the way we want them to be. Okay, and so the Bible talks about how manipulation is almost like witchcraft. Why? Because you're trying to force events into a tunnel the way that you want it to be, right? So for me, this is kind of problematic, right? This is why I said that it was. This is why I didn't agree. This is why I felt a certain way about the Karen situation when it came to. He showed me now. He stepped up to the plate. Blah blah. He's basically put me in my place. It's like, yo, this is not healthy. Like, we can be married, but it's not, for me, it's not healthy, you know what I mean? She wasn't happy. He wasn't happy with her because he thought that she wasn't who she was, okay, and she was testing him, okay, and she would have never changed that behavior had he not got fed up. And there's a huge part of me that can't unsee that as abusive, and I think this is what I'm concerned with. I think Christ has really hit it for me. Like, people think I'm banging out bare different videos, but I'm talking about Karen's not the only one. We all as a people need to see our own behavior. There are parts of our behavior that are manipulative. We are trying to force a person into a certain route and try to condition their behavior, right? And so that's that what she said there is what I couldn't get out of my head. I couldn't stop feeling what she's just said there, that part of this is abusive. And if this is my boy, I'm gonna be like, bro, like, I don't know how. So if this is getting to abusive, that's what I said, that's why I wanted to suggest that as a solution to Karen, to really sit down with herself and say, hey, and not just Karen's, all the other Karens who are out there, and not just Karens, ladies, man them too. Man them do a lot more probably than even females. Man them do a lot more who do this kind of behavior. It's not healthy. It will eventually backfire if we're manipulating situations to work on our behalf. She said, I get that she wanted to know if she had someone. I get that if she wanted to know if she had someone she could be with through the rough times, but making her personality the rough time is a little strange, lol. And that's her. And if that's her thought process on how to make a relationship successful, if that was the intent, she's risking doing more damage than good. And I think this is what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not talking about now. See, when I see comments like, they're happy, let them be, blah, 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 I'm not talking about now. I'm a person who's a preventive. I don't like cures. I like prevention. That's how I've always been brought up. You prevent, you don't have to cure. If you have to come to me and tell me, and if one day when I get a message on you, I'll tell her, listen, when she dealt with me in the beginning, she found me frustrating because I was like, no, don't do that. She'd be like, why? I'd be like, because it's going to end this way, because I can see it. I'm preventing it. I want to prevent it from happening. I'm telling you, hey, it's going to go this way, right? And for some people, that can be a little bit frustrating because people want to go through certain things, innit? And when they learn their own self, then they're like, okay, cool, I see what you're saying. But at the time, it can be a bit frustrating. I get it. But I rather want to be in a prevention rather than cure. And the thing is this, I always live by this word on the Bible. It says that our words are poison. And I said to you guys that, listen, when I was a child, the things that have been said to me have not been forgotten. The things that have been said to you as a child have not been forgotten, good or bad. So all this question of masculinity, whether they're happy now in a relationship, let's bring a solution to that problem, right? This is where Miles needs to come into, I believe. I want to provide a solution now to deal with if they were to come to me. Miles needs to set up appropriate boundaries. There has to be appropriate boundaries issued by Miles. He has to set it. If he does not, he also does himself and Karen a disservice. And this is where I agree with Karen in a sense of the fact that as a woman, you want safety. And the safety comes when a man is able to emotionally create boundaries that say, hey, I'm keeping you in these confinements to keep you safe, right? So I can agree with part of what she's saying in that respect, that Miles needs to be able to establish, Karen, this is a line, don't go past it. Don't go past it. You know what I'm saying? Because all throughout the season, I'm hearing Miles say, towards especially the end, you know, he laughed about the fact that she questioned his masculinity, da da da. But bro, you're not laughing, you're hurting. You see, and that is where I'm scared. Right now, you're laughing. 5 years time, you won't be, because things get old. Right now, you can run on adrenaline. We can run on the fact that she's buff, she's beautiful. You can run on the fact that, listen, she's a great woman. But if you are not honest yourself, you're doing her a disservice and yourself. Because as far as she's concerned, she at least, let me be very frank, at least she's told you where she stands. But if you don't regulate and let her know, listen, that for me, out of order, that shouldn't happen. That I don't want to hear that as a conversation again. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because I like I said, if it was a male question, woman femininity, we would be saying like, why is this guy doing that? Like, I'm a person as well. I can't take injustice. Whether you're boy or girl, we got to address it. You know what I mean? If you're doing something wrong, let's address it and speak about it. But in terms of, obviously, for Miles, he really must set up boundaries to keep Karen safe and to keep himself safe. You know, he must set it up. It's funny because it's like, I had a conversation with the missus, right? And there was such a situation that happened. And I told her, listen, don't do this. This is the boundary, right? You trust me, if you go past it, it's gonna get wonky for us. You know what I mean? The line got passed, and when she saw that it got passed, she was like, oh, snap, my bad. I didn't even see, you know what? I know you said it, but I wasn't thinking it that way, da-da-da-da. Then we had but because I already established the boundary, when she went past it, she can now come back to me and say, listen, do you know what, my bad. I didn't see it that way, right? And then vice versa too. When she sets up a boundary for me, I now know, okay, this is acceptable behavior. This isn't acceptable behavior. Do you get what I'm saying? And so it's all about keeping each other safe and letting me know that, so that I don't want to, and this is where I can agree with Karen. I don't want to see you blow up. I do not want to see you one day just disseminate the area. You know, I don't want to see that. You know what I mean? I don't want to see you one day become this ogre because you've been holding everything in. We got to hear your voice. And this is why I'm saying to you that communication is so important, because if Karen is communicating that Miles is not able to speak and say how he feels, let's stick to that narrative. Let's not say it's not masculine. Let's not say it's not those things. Those are to do with personal boundaries. And both women and men suffer from that when they have experienced a certain style of upbringing in their childhood. Yeah. And so setting boundaries, even myself, I've had to learn how to set boundaries. Look, when I'm doing this YouTube, sometimes I have to tell my missus, listen, I can't spend time with you. Now, my natural instinct is to be like, I'm a person that when I'm in a relationship, I want to be all consuming in love. You know what I mean? I want to be all around you, baby. But I have to tell my missus, and babe, I got work to do. Sorry, I can't help you right now. Sorry, I can't be with you right now. Yeah, I know you want to see me. I don't care. I got to do work. Do you know why? There ain't nothing pretty about you being broke when you should have been doing work. Set the boundary. I can't see you today. I've got to work. Set a boundary. It keeps that person safe and yourself safe. Okay, so I definitely agree that where Miles needed to set up the boundary to make sure that they both are safe in that respect. So and how you set up boundaries is to actually sit down with yourself, do it with pen and paper, and be like, hey, okay, cool. Miles, what does Miles need, or what do you need? What am I not happy with? What am I not okay with? Okay, cool. This is my line. I don't like this particular thing. Right? It's my line. I don't like this particular thing. And so for me, just looking at that aspect, I think that is important aspect of Miles can do just to help the relationship go along. And so yeah. Let me read the rest of her comment as well. She put that it's strange that Miles takes responsibility for not always being forthcoming, but she justifies her behavior. Great that they were able to stay together, but I personally can't unsee abuse happening on any level and not be concerned. And yes, so again, this is going to come down to Miles as well. When you begin to set up boundaries, and begin to acquaint yourself with, okay, this is acceptable for me, this is not acceptable for me, you begin to be able to be confident enough to speak on it. There's a great book on there. I think it's about, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Boundaries. I'll probably have to put in the link below, where it talks about how to set up these boundaries. Because what can happen is that you give your time, your energy, your love, everything like that to someone else, and you don't have time for yourself, and no energy for yourself, and no love for yourself. And by the time you realize you're spent and you're frustrated, you're tired, because you've given everything else to everybody else, right? And so then abuse begins to kick in, because people take advantage of that. People who are not who are not trying to be self-aware, who are not trying to take your best interests at heart, but themselves will keep taking advantage, because they see it as, well, if you're offering, I'm going to take it. You know what I mean? And so that's a very important aspect for Miles to set up this boundary. It's so key. Going into a marriage, so key, because you're going to spend so much time with each other, but you need to know that, okay, look, this is my time, this is my space, I need it today, right? And I feel Karen does that way better than Miles. And so that's something that Miles can learn from Karen as well. I think that's where they can sit down, have a conversation, and talk about it, you know, and deal with that as well. You know, I know that obviously, you know, I know that Miles obviously was talking about physical intimacy, etc., etc. And I really think here, again, I'm going to go by what Karen has said, which is that she wants him to, I guess, take charge or be more, I'm going to say it again, because I believe the true words that need to be here is, you know, state your needs and also state your boundaries. And I think that allows her to be put in her quote unquote place. Because what that does, it says, okay, you've got to respect this line that I've drawn, and you've got to stay there, okay? And when you cross it, there will be consequences. I can't handle that. Do you know what I mean? And so I think that will then help establish the link, if by going what she said, to the physical needs that are needed. I think her friends addressed the right quite correctly, in the sense of, if this is not something, my concern here is that there was a juxtaposition. Karen said that it's natural for her to be physically affectionate, and then said to her friends, I'm not sure if I can be that touchy-feely, and he's too much touchy-feely, blah, blah, blah. So there's a juxtaposition. This is not edit. This is why I get frustrated by what people saying edit. This is what somebody's saying. And so I think there's a confusion there. I think she can be touchy-feely, but there's a certain kind of, I think there's, when it's odd, because I feel like when there's emotional unavailability, people can become more wanting and desiring of that person, simply because that person is refusing to withholding what that person may need. So the person pushes more because the person's pulling more, right? And that could be something that could also be a situation as well. So I want to leave it there. I want to say this, like, I actually do. Yesterday I said on a live, I said, listen, I'm a bit sour grapes. And I was a bit sour grapes because I think, like, I'm a person that sees things, and if it's not addressed, I'm concerned in it. But what I want to say is, obviously, I do appreciate Karen and Miles taking that step. And if I'm going to treat Miles like my boy. If you take that step, I'm going to have to rock with you, which means now all my advice to you is to maintain and not to destroy. What I would say as a sound warning to Miles, if you're my boy, do not lose yourself trying to please her. This is why boundaries are essential. Know what you can do and what you cannot do. If you cannot do it, express explicitly, this is something that I cannot do, and here's why. This is something that I can do. Fantastic. Let's agree and move forward. You know, so I need Miles to determine the play of these things by issuing boundaries. This is the correct word. So if you guys have heard this, I pray that, you know, these two actually do make it, because I don't want to see marriages breaking up. Do you know what I mean? I actually don't want to be right. I don't want to be right. I can only point out what I see, right? And so hopefully these two really do make it. Guys, as well, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe. Also, as well, watch out, we've got another live, you know, next week. We're going to start, put a ring on it as well, going forward. Please, as well, let us know your thoughts down below. I mean, I tried to address what I want to address. I don't know if I've hit everything, but I don't know. I don't know what more I can say. Hopefully you guys understand my side. I'm not trying to be a destroyer of relationships, but rather when I see something, I do want to call it out But it must be a balance, which is that, okay, great. Hey, what's a solution to this? And I think if they genuinely want to work on this relationship and this marriage, then Karen's going to have to be honest and open about the fact that she sometimes goes into denial. She doesn't like critique. She does not like critique. When critique comes her way, just like at D-Day, she cancels it. And that comes from when you're not feeling like you're in a safe emotional space. So what Miles is going to have to do, I'm even going past now, what Miles is going to have to do, he's going to have to create safe spaces, which he's doing right now because he's being patient about it, safe space for her to come out and be open and be honest about the fact that there are some things that she doesn't get right. And so that she can begin to take down. And the trouble here is you have to get the balance right. This is where it gets techie. He has to get the balance right by creating a safe space, but he also has to keep her accountable. And when I say keep her accountable in the sense of the fact that she has to be able to get to a place where she realizes this is her responsibility. This is her action that she does. Okay? Because what can happen is that you can create a safe space and all it does is enables a person to do what they're doing. Right? So in order to stop the enabling, there has to be a healthy respect that says, okay, I'm giving you emotional safety so you can tell me how you feel, but I've also got to be strong enough, and this is why, again, put me in my place probably really comes in. It's not put me in my place. It's more of a case of, then you tell me, listen, hey, look, Miles got to say to her, hey, look, whilst I agree and I feel what you said emotionally, what you said to me, and I get it. Here's the point though. Part of what you said or what you do here is incorrect. It's not allowed. It's not okay. And actually, I don't work with it. Okay? That needs to stop now. You feel me? I don't know if I'm being a bit of a teacher. I don't know, but yeah, guys, if you have something different to that, what I've said, please comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. Probably end up doing a video about it as well. But I wanted to just express those sentiments. I do wish Karen and Miles well. I hope they see this video. Please, someone send it to them. I hope them and wish them well. And may they have a long marriage as well. So I appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We appreciate you guys. Little Black Book.